Okay, what is my new puppy's name?
Now, you've been a part of step 5. Now, step 5 is really the hub of the Biblical Worldview Integration Planner. That's where you're taking that specific academic content that you want your students to know, and you're making that connection to the larger frame of reference of a biblical worldview.
An 8, and then we'll continue on. An 8.
Step 6 is constructing a good integrative objective, but it's already there. And really, it's quite easy, and I just want to take you through the steps because, in fact, it's pretty much done for you, and we'll walk through that. It's a reference of a biblical worldview with God, creation, humanity, moral order, experts, and thinking level. That is the thinking level, though, that we want in the integration objective. Now, the next step in that, it says SBT, which is specific, biblical, truth. It's already in step 5. It's already there. And then C is the academic content, that what you're going to connect with, and we'll walk through that. Step 6 here, the first level experts and thinking level. And then C is the academic content, that what you're going to connect with as you have your integration objective and your academic objective. So those are the 3 steps. Now, let's take a look at a little bit more closely at the thinking level in the integration objective. At the beginning, we strongly recommend that you have your integration objective thinking level at the comprehension level or the understanding level. Now, after you get practice and do a lot of BWI with as you have your integration or the understanding level. Now, after you get practice and do a lot of BWI planners and you really get comfortable with this methodology, you can move up to the upper level thinking skills there, integration, objective, analysis, synthesis, even application. But for now, as you're learning, we highly recommend that we keep and stick with comprehension. We just ask you to start your integration objective like this. The students will comprehend, or the students will understand. Now, let's, in your blank planner that you've been working in, do a lot of BWI planners, and you really get comfortable with, or the students will understand. Now, let's, in your blank planner that you've been working in the back of your participant guide, could you just write that in there for me right now? Right there where it says TL, thinking level, write in the students will comprehend or the students will understand.
We do that already, as I've said.
Some of you are wondering why we use the general term of comprehension or a blank planner that you've been working in the back of your participant guide. Could you, in your integration objective of having the students demonstrate an understanding a particular way, it gives you some latitude here. It gives you some freedom as compared to being specific verbs like being able to summarize. We are looking at more of a general sense here in terms of comprehension. And so comprehension or understanding here. Now, the word summarize, we are looking at more of a general sense here in terms of comprehension. And so when you get into step 7, you'll be able to really be more specific on that. But for right now, we want you just to have the students will understand or they'll comprehend. Now, let me mention one caution here that we've learned through the years. And as you become more adept at integration, you will want to have the students do more integration at higher levels of thought. But just remember this rule of thumb. If you move beyond the level of comprehension, in your integration of comprehension. And so when you get into step 7, you'll be able to...
I'm sorry, he keeps glitching. He really just wants us to get the comprehension.
Don't target a thinking level for your students that is higher than the thinking level of the academic objective. Now let's review that again. Now, in your academic outcome, you have a thinking level. In your integration objective, we have the thinking level. Now, what we don't want you to do is have the thinking level in your integration objective. What we don't want you to do is have the thinking level and the integration objective higher than the thinking level and your academic objective. Just basic rule of thumb. That's why I was sticking with the comprehension level, because most of the time you're at least at that level in your academic objective. But we don't want that to supersede, to be higher than. Now, part of the reasons for this is that you think about if it is higher, in a higher level thinking area in your integration objective, you have a comprehension thinking level and the integration objective. Up in your integration objective, think what will happen. If you take a look and you see that thinking level in your integration objective is evaluation, you just have comprehension, which one's going to take over? Your integration part is actually going to overshadow your academic content that you want them to learn. And what happens in that process, you have a comprehension in your academic, and here you have that you want them to learn. And what happens in that process, just to kind of give you an understanding, we'll go through this a little bit more, is that it really takes over. Sometimes you might as well get your pulpit up there and start sermonizing. That's how important it is that the integration objective thinking level does not supersede the academic, because good biblical worldview integration is what I like to see as just happens in that process, just to kind of give you, in this picture, you have the academic content. It's just this beautiful picture. You put this frame over it. In other words, that the integration thinking level is higher. You put this frame, and this frame is so beautiful and it's artistic, and you look at it and all you see is the frame, and you don't actually see the artwork. In good biblical worldview integration, you want them to see how that fits with the academic, so the academic is enhanced. A good frame then enhances the picture. Another way that I like to look at it is, it's just like the whole thing's like a tapestry. In that tapestry, and that's just how God views the world if you really think about it. And you're flowing with that, and that's a beautiful tapestry that he has. And then you're doing your integration, and you have this patch for this tapestry, and this integration is kind of, you move it over and you try to stick it right on that tapestry. It fits with the academic, so the academic is enhanced. A good frame, it doesn't fit. Good biblical word integration weaves, enhances that tapestry. It's part of the threads. And that is what real good integration is all about. It blends in. It doesn't distract. So that's what biblical worldview integration does. It blends in then to the academic subject, but it isn't the whole lesson in itself. It supports. If you're right on that tapestry, and guess what? You think that the students are kind of the whole lesson in itself. It supports. It beautifies an academic lesson, so to speak. So it really doesn't mean that we want to minimize the integration need in a lesson. It doesn't mean the integration portion needs to be short, although it may be, but it means that it needs to supplement the academic subject area. It doesn't replace it. So that's why the thinking level is so important. Now, the next thing that you do in your step 6, it supports. It beautifies an academic level. It supports. Whole lesson in itself. It supports the big area. It doesn't replace it. So that's why the thinking level is so important. Now, the next thing that you do in your step 6 in your integration objective is you write in the specific biblical truth. Now, here is what, this is an easy step at the same time, and we want to have some cautions here too. In that step, you really are just writing what you have in step 5 down into this piece that's SBT in there. So if you could just take some time and just really just write down what you had in step 5, you write down underneath in your integration Step 6 in your integration objective. You write down underneath in your integration objective where it says SPT. So you should have the thinking level, the students will understand or comprehend, and then you write down the specific biblical truth that you have in step 5.
Sorry, it's so glitchy. For some reason, this man makes it glitchy.
Now, again, a word of caution. Why we have you just write down your SPT from in your integration objective where it says SPT. So you should have we've seen teachers that actually all of a sudden write a different specific biblical truth and they just get out of sorts and out of kilter as they go. So we're trying to make it really simple for you. Now that we've done the thinking level and the specific biblical truth, let's take a look at our wonderful lesson on the past. Down your SPT from step 5 here is that we've seen teachers that actually all of a sudden write a different specific biblical truth and they just get out of sorts and out of kilter as they go. So we're trying to make it really simple for you. Now that we've done the thinking level and the specific biblical truth, let's take a look at our wonderful lesson on the pasture. And in that, let's take a look at what she wrote in that. Now let's take a look. Now the thinking level, the students will understand. You see, she just wrote down, that was at the comprehension level. And then creation and design to give pleasure to the sight. That was her specific biblical truth. That was in step 5 in her SPT box, and she just brought it right down. Wonderful lesson on the pasture. And in that, let's take a look at what she wrote in that. Now let's take a look. Now the thinking level, the students will understand. You see, she just wrote down, that was at the comprehension level. Just brought it right down. And the next thing she's done is third part is you actually connect the academic content in your integration objective to your academic objective that you have in step 2. And you can see that she has done this. And she says, through the process of reading the pasture and discussing the theme of taking time to enjoy the simple things of life. That is, in essence, out of her academic objective. You can see now you're starting to make that connection between, you just brought it right down. And the next thing she's done is third part is you see by Mrs. Findley did is by inserting a conjunction of at the beginning of the third part in between your SPT and your academic content with statements like by or through or connected with. So you tie them together, make that connection between your integration objective and the content to tie them together. Make that connection between your integration. You see by Mrs. Findley did is by inserting a conjunction of at the beginning of the third part.
Hold on a minute. We'll pause. Okay, this is going to be an awkward one. We're just going to stop there because it's going to glitch for a minute. So I'm going to wait and just let this one load, and we'll do that next. Okay, what is your favorite animal? It's not about me, but yeah, I want to hear